This is NBA Now by Chat Sports. Chase Sr. here with you. Today's show really focused around Kevin Durant, so I want to start the show with the live poll question. Where will Kevin Durant play in 2022-2023? If you think it's the Nets, type BKN. If you think it's a different team, then type O for other. Get those votes in because the show is officially on and popping. We're bringing you the latest on Kevin Durant. Appreciate all of you for watching today's show and making us a part of your day. Durant has let his feelings be known to owner Joe Tsai. Trade me, he said, or fire Steve Nash and Sean Marks, then I'll come back to the Brooklyn Nets. But what's funny about this entire situation is that Kevin Durant chose the Nets and decided to leave a really firm situation with the Golden State Warriors, where they made it to 3 straight NBA Finals, won 2 championships, and en route to those 2 titles, he was named NBA Finals MVP in both of those sessions, and then he joined forces with Kyrie and wanted to get Steve Nash hired. And after 2 years, Kevin Durant is saying, you know what, I want out of Brooklyn, and if I do come back, owner Joe Tsai, you got to fire the guy that we wanted to hire. And then also, you got to fire Sean Marks as well. So really the topic of conversation now shifts to this. Who has leverage? Is it Kevin Durant or is it the Brooklyn Nets? And when you look at this from a couple of different levels and the bird's eye view of this entire situation, it looks as though it's the Brooklyn Nets who have the leverage and not Kevin Durant. Here's what's working against KD. He's starting to get a little bit older, and the injuries are certainly adding up. He's 34 years old. He's not getting any younger, and he's suffered some serious injuries over time. And he signed that contract extension last offseason. What that means is that 4-year extension only starts kicking in this year, so he won't be an unrestricted free agent until 2026. So that's why, from that sentiment, the Nets do have the power and the leverage and the upper hand. As for those contractual figures for Kevin Durant, it's actually a pretty good contract if he ends up being the player that he was last year and the player that we've seen throughout his entire career as one of the most unique and best offensive players of all time, who's lethal from anywhere on the floor, and over time, in my opinion, has become underrated on the defensive end of the floor. This upcoming year, first year of that max contract extension, set to make just shy of $43 million. Year after that goes up to 46 plus, then to nearly $50 million in 24-25, followed by $53 million in base salary. Then he'll become an unrestricted free agent at 38 years old. Now, if another team acquires KD, that's good news because, yes, we're in the player empowerment era, and Kevin Durant can force trade with that other team, but also for the acquiring destination, they know that they have KD under contract for the foreseeable future. As for KD's preferred spots, Durant reportedly submitted 2 teams on his preferred destinations, the Heat and the Suns. But this coming in just moments ago, according to Ian Begley of SNY, that he also has the Celtics on that list and potentially the Philadelphia 76ers. But the problem with those 2 original teams is that the Heat, they cannot include Bam Adebayo in a deal because of the rookie clause, and Ben Simmons signed that rookie max contract extension, so too did Bam Adebayo. And the Suns can't trade DeAndre Ayton, who you would figure, before signing that big deal with Phoenix, would be one of the monster trade chips in a deal for Kevin Durant, but because he just re-upped with Phoenix, he can't be traded until January. Now, I know a lot of you out there are saying this: KD, if he wants to, can just decide to hold out and refuse to play with the Nets moving forward. But at 34 years old, you don't want to waste a season of your prime. And I think that Kevin Durant loves hoops too much to sit out an entire duration of the upcoming season. He always classifies himself as a hooper, and he says it all the time: I just want to hoop. I just love to hoop. I can envision a scenario in which KD just decides to stay on the sideline and watch basketball from a fan's perspective, armchair quarterback, and sit out an entire campaign. Now, what do you think about Kevin Durant? He's one of the greatest basketball players of all time, but because he gets a little bit sensitive on social media, he left the Golden State Warriors to come to the Brooklyn Nets, and already he wants out of BK. Is he a real one? Is he a fake one? Let me know in the comment section right now by typing RO for he's real, FO for he's fake, and if you're a real one, Get your hands on a Real One t-shirt right now by going to chatsports.com/real1. If you're a subscriber and supporter of what we do, you're a real one. If you're not a fraud or a stiff or a schmuck or a phony, you're also classified as a real one. And no matter how you want to walk your respective streets, we got multiple colors in all of these shirts, which we just started selling. So be a part of the movement. Join the family by heading to chatsports.com/real1. I'll put that link in the comment section and the description of this video. We round out today's show with the latest on Russell Westbrook. Twittergate picked social media in 2022 because Russ liked a tweet that was directed at his detractors and haters, as well as the Los Angeles Lakers wanting to trade him. So this tweet came out classifying and looking at Russell Westbrook's play the last 10 games of the season, and the numbers were pretty solid, as they always are with Russell Westbrook. But there's always extenuating circumstances which can be fired back at one of these arguments. One, 10 games is a really small sample size. For much of the year, Russell Westbrook was bad, inefficient, and maddening, and at that point, the Lakers season was over. The player who he started the most games with during that 10-game run, it was Dwight Howard. And at that point, Stanley Johnson was getting a lot of run. LeBron James and Anthony Davis basically weren't playing. They were sitting out because the Lakers season was decided. They weren't playoff bound. So that's the problem with that 10-game sample size, is the Lakers needed Russell Westbrook to put up those numbers. And the numbers and the statistics with Russ have never been the issue. It's the style of play. It's the unwillingness to evolve, play team basketball, and the lack of efficiency. And also the fact that the game has kind of passed him by. Nowadays, in the modern NBA, you want guards and wings who can shoot the basketball. And for Russell Westbrook, he can't do that at an efficient clip. You look at the three-point numbers over the last 4 years, they have not gotten any better, and they're not even respectable numbers. 29%, 26%, 31.5%, and sub-30. Those are the marks from distance over the last 4 years. Points per game, pretty solid, especially a couple of years ago, 2019-20. You look at the stat sheet there, 27 points per game, 7 dimes, 47% from the field, but he just makes inopportune mistakes, and he takes ill-advised shots that sometimes make you want to pull your hair out, and he doesn't play winning basketball. It's not the stats. It's not the numbers that are the problem with Russell Westbrook. It's all of the other stuff that are the issues with Russ, and the fact that he doesn't make his teammates better, and he doesn't make his team better at the end of the day. A couple things can be true with Russ. He's a future Hall of Famer, one of the most electrifying athletes that we've ever seen. The highlight reel-worthy plays where we've seen him streaking down the court from baseline to baseline are special. I love the passion in which he plays with, but he has to temper that sometimes, and he doesn't have a good feel for the game because he's always going for the kill shot. Before we hop on out of here, head back to school, be the scout, grade Russell Westbrook as a player, scale it for me from 1 to 100 in the comment section right now. Now, I wanted to keep you around and say that was the last segment of the show, but we actually have one more thing to hit. LeBron James meeting with the Los Angeles Lakers as we continue to keep it moving. Eligible to sign a 2-year, $97 million extension this offseason, and there were some interesting tidbits about that meeting, according to Chris Haynes, who is a really good basketball reporter. He said this: majority of the meeting was about expressing concerns and hearing out strategies and opinions to assure there wouldn't be a repeat of last year's epic failure. James, sources said, drilled home the importance of consistent competitiveness and cohesion, noting that last season's team didn't give themselves a chance on many nights. And my take on this overall issue, LeBron James should have concerns about the future of the Los Angeles Lakers. They're coming off a disastrous campaign in which the roster construction was flawed and just not good, and the Lakers were terrible last year because they lacked athleticism, they lacked shooting, they lacked defense, and in the future, if they want to try to improve this roster, they lack future assets in terms of draft capital and player capital in order to improve the roster. So it's understandable to see why LeBron James is going to be 38 years old in December, does have reservations about re-upping with Los Angeles and signing that contract extension. Be a real one. hit me up, give me a follow. Feel free to DM me on social media, Twitter and Instagram. The handles are the same, at Chase_Senior. Look forward to hearing from all of you. You got a question, you got life advice, whatever you want to hit me with, hit me up right now at Chase_Senior. I cover the NFL, NBA, and college football here at Chat Sports. And as always, thanks for watching the show.